And it's tough because we see these characters, right? And we know that there are real ramifications for the decisions that they are making. We don't appreciate how they're handling their jobs that we've given them. And it sucks, right? It's a real powerless situation, a real hopeless kind of feeling as a citizen of a country when you're pretty clear that the people who are making decisions on your behalf are uninterested in much more than self-preservation of the ego. And that becomes really problematic. And so probably the first politician that lets us train them in a transenergetic state is going to be pretty happy with the condition of the presidency, because here's the other kicker, like we said earlier, if you can't connect in, if you don't understand the energetics, if you're not refueling, then that job eats you alive. Just watch over I started a long time ago going, what is killing these? Like the president's just like from 4 years, they age about 50 years, right? And you just watch
Yes.
the progression. Well, there's no refueling, there's no, right? There's the essence, the elements that make for good leadership isn't even inherent in the position. And then we have them acting the fool on live TV and everywhere else, setting really poor models for our children. Thank you very much. We have to explain that at home. But anyway, so your point of being able to hold yourself in the midst of that emotional piece is huge. And I really love the distinction, folks. Love them or hate them, right? They are people, they are complex, they're not unidimensional. None of us want to be. And
Yep.
yet you all have agreed to a position, right? Let's uphold it. When we are willing to allow for some of the give and take, right? And be a little bit more vulnerable, like you said, in those situations, what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we actually are putting our position and the responsibility of our position ahead of the survival of whatever program it is that I'm running. And I know we put these people in really challenging situations. And so that brings up this kind of other point that I want to flesh out with you, because every single man who has been on this show so far around the men of co-creation has mentioned emotions, folks. This is not a coincidence. This is an epidemic, right? Literally, I call it IEDs, inappropriate emotional discharge, right? It's like, it's all
Mhm.
over the freaking place, right? And so part of it is what you spoke to, right? There's a real big difference between being guilty and feeling guilty. When we feel guilty and we don't know how to handle that, we sound guilty. We come out
Yeah.
as guilty. Like the
Yeah.
system may suck. We may not like that people have privilege. We may not like that they can take advantage of those systems, but then the system needs to be fixed, right? If it's within the system, allowable by the law, then legally they can do it, right? We may not like it. We may think that the president should have more moral character, whatever the thing may be that we feel about it. There's a huge difference. And when we can't manage the energetics that happen in our system, when emotions kick up, we are guilty. We express that out to the world because it's like, I'm guilty, I'm guilty, I'm guilty, I'm guilty. And you may not be. You may not be. But what you're going to get back in response is all kinds of suspicion, because you're sending out contradictory messages. Folks, we talk congruency to counterintelligence agents. You got to get online. Your thoughts and your emotions and your body and your energetics have to match up. Otherwise, people aren't going to take you seriously, and they're always going to keep you at arm's length because you're not in management of yourself. And then bad things happen, right? As we've seen when emotions get high. Management of
Yeah.
self, particularly in our leaders, right? I get it. Not everyone is on this journey, but if you're going to step up in front of people and lead them, you have an obligation to manage your energetics. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you're wrong. You're wrong because you know you're doing it in your situation. And so, I'm over it in the sense of we know this stuff, right? We all know it's wrong. We all know it's asinine. And we all know that they're making decisions on our behalf. I sat and watched a woman tear a speech up behind his head. It's like, what, a temper tantrum? I'm sitting there watching this thing with my daughter going, please don't watch. Please don't watch. Because that's not how we handle our feelings. That's not how we
Yeah.
talk about things. That's not what
Yeah.
we show to our young women coming up in the world. This is not what we do, folks. And so that emotional piece makes us act all kinds of crazy. And it's a big deal, right? I remember back in high school thinking all of our social ills worldwide would be resolved with a little bit of self-esteem, right? And that's a simple place from a white girl in a very privileged position to come to, but I came to it because it's right. Now, how those low self-esteems come to be developed, we got real work to fix, folks. But that is the key, and especially for those of you who are in positions of power. Clean up your acts, please. This is ridiculous. I don't know, Perry, you got me going, man. This is co-creation, right? Got a little fire in there. Like, whoa, Tonya's coming to the surface. Holy cow. And we're celebrating you. So Perry, thank you for that passion and for that, the ability to just look behind and say, no, just no, just no. And so please, when you write the paper, we want to read it. We want to see it. We want to see that co-creation in action, because even when it's messy, and it's always messy, folks, when we come together to co-create, there's a deliciousness to it. There is a richness, there is an aliveness that is untouchable by anything else. So seek that first. Perry, what are some final thoughts you want to leave folks with today?
I have a friend named Dave Charlson, and I guess you could call him a life coach, although that doesn't do him justice at all. But just to give you a vague category. And he talks about something called radical vulnerability, which goes something like this. Let's say that your spouse leaves the toilet seat up and it makes you angry. Instead of confronting them the way you normally would, which sometimes turns into World War III, you know how that weird thing can happen in relationships. You say, Joe, I am afraid of something. You left the toilet seat up, and I would like to talk to you about it. And I just want you to know, I'm afraid that if I confront you about this, you're going to bring up that bankruptcy situation I got us in 6 years ago, and we're going to get into a big giant blame game and both end up feeling like crap at the end of the conversation. And I want that to not happen in this conversation. And I'm feeling nervous that it's going to go that way. And that's a lot more vulnerable than, Joe, you idiot.
That doesn't go well? That's weird.
Tends to not go well.
Weird. Oh my God. The biggest fight Jess and I ever got in was about dishes. I remember it was very early in our relationship. And the fear there, I love the fear. The fear was really like from an innate survival. I followed it all the way down and busted right through the end of it, because I was like, this isn't happening. And it was like, if you can't do the dishes right, how are you going to take care of me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
When push comes to, if you can't just follow a simple task, which of course rests on the notion that we agree on how to do dishes, right? Like there was that whole thing to start off. I was like, dude, if we had just taken the first 5 years and taught each other what both of us know, we would have been fucking brilliant. Like it would have been great, right? And so that comes into it, right? And that was the fear, was like, you're not going to be who I need you to be when I most need you to be that. And as a woman, as much as I hated to admit it, at that time, that program was in there that I had to have that. And I flat out told him I didn't need him for that when we started dating. I was a counterintel agent, right? But the programs are there, folks. They didn't start with us, but we're carrying them, right? And so as those come up, use these techniques that Perry's talking about. Like, first of all, stop, take a breath, right? We teach you in SIFA, you breathe, right? You expand your mind, soften the heart, right? Like these are easy techniques when you know how to work these processes. If you don't know how to do this stuff, start training yourself. If you don't know how to train yourself, get over to superpowerexperts.com. Folks, you have no excuses, literally none. Perry, you're brilliant. I love you. I love this. I love that you come on the show. I love that you keep entertaining my crazy conversations. And I love that you're writing a paper with a bunch of people you don't know about a topic that you think is worth diving into on behalf of all of us, the very definition of a man of co-creation. So we're rooting for you from over here, and all your projects. Please come back on the next thing that you're doing so we can talk about it then. Thank you for everything you do, Perry.
Thank you, Tonya.
Beautiful. And thank you to all of you as always. We're so So honored that you helped make us in the top 1.5% of podcasts globally. That's huge. We appreciate this. And it means that we're ready, folks. We're ready for these conversations. Don't stop. Don't stop short with superficial. Keep going. Connect with people and be real. Remember who you are. Till next time, folks, we love you. Love each other. Goodbye for now.